Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Kidmissing Radio. I'm your host, Angelina Wilson, and joining me is Bobby Walker, the son of James Davis Walker, who vanished from Bedford, Virginia on April 7th, 2000. He was 57 years of age and was 6 feet 7 inches tall. He was claimed to have been last seen at Food Lion. Can you take me back to that day? This is what I usually do first. And tell me how you found out and what transpired that day.
My sister got in touch with me. I was living here in Lynchburg. She contacted me that Dad had went missing, and I'm sitting there thinking like, how's Dad gone missing? I was like, first thing, I was thinking like, what the hell? How does that happen? And I sat there and went on through the workday and everything because Dad was missing. I was thinking, he just went off with a friend or something like that, and he'd be back later that day. Because it was common for Dad to be gone for a day or two or something like that, and then come back. It was no problem, but for him to just be reported missing, and I sit there and got home that evening and called and said if they had heard anything. I'm like they hadn't heard anything. They looked for him, and I was like it didn't concern me much at all because it was pretty normal for Dad just be gone for a day or so. So went through the weekend and got concerned because couldn't find Dad. So later that week, my teacher at CBCC, Peter Alexander, was contacted me. He said, I heard about your dad missing. He said, you want to go down there and look around? I said, sure. So me and Pete got together one evening, rode down there to the Food Line. I think it was, I can't remember the exact date. Got it all written down. I just ain't got everything in front of me. Me and Pete went down there and went into the Food Line. He said, he's like, they got cameras. They should be able to find out where, see if Dad was out there or anything like that. So we went in there to the manager, and he let us in the office and went through the video of the day and finally found out what time that the people that were there, which was Donnie Adams, Rose Dooley, and Bruce Carter. You could see those people in the video, but you couldn't see Dad. So we contacted the police, and they come down and got a copy of the video.
Didn't they say they saw 4 sets of legs, though, in the car?
Yes. It was reported from the original investigating officer. It was Tracy Purnell, said that he could see 4 sets of legs get out of the vehicle. And unless he has x-ray vision or he was standing there that day when it happened, there ain't no way in hell that anybody could see 4 sets of legs coming out of that car because, the video camera was in the ceiling of the Food Line, and the car was probably about 40 feet out in the parking lot, and of course it was a Ford Taurus, and you'd almost have to get down to the ground to see up under the car. Period.
That's a very small car.
Yeah. And unless everybody got out on one side, I'm sorry?
I was going to say, we had a Tempo, and they're both about the same size, small.
Yeah, a small car, and it ain't no way somebody's seen 4 sets of legs come out of that car. No way possible. And the video
and someone your
wasn't
dad's
all.
size would have to fold himself in half to get in it.
Yeah, pretty much. You know,
Wouldn't
Dad was
be
tall
easy.
man. Yeah.
You know?
Dad was definitely a tall man. He'd stand out in the crowd, I can tell you that.
Yeah, he'd stand head and shoulders above just about everybody on the video, I would think.
Exactly. And, you know, they all went into the store and they got what they got and left. But when Dad was reported missing, it was reported that it was just Juanita Carter Dooley and Donnie Adams and Dad there. You know, if it wasn't for the video, we wouldn't know who all was there in the first place, because, you know, that right there was a lie right off the bat, because they made a report that wasn't true. You know, and the fact is, just not knowing that, you know, we would have never known if it wasn't for the video who all was there. You know, that was already one step that they sit there and said that who all was there, and the facts wasn't correct.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you
so
have to wonder about someone lying about something so insignificant as who was there. You know?
Exactly. And you know, and that right there is just it's I don't know why any kind of charges was filed because of a false report or anything like that. But you know, that falls back on the original officer that was doing the investigation.
Yeah, and it was reported in newspapers that your father may have wandered off because he had the early stages of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I think that was just something that they put in, was telling us that he was having Alzheimer's and stuff like that, just to basically make her story sound better, I'd say.
Yeah.
And,
so who actually reported him missing? You or your sister?
Nope. Actually, it was Donnie and Juanita, because when they went back up, when Rose, Bruce, and Donnie went back up on the mountain, they got Juanita, and I don't know what happened to Rose and Bruce, where they went to or anything like that, but Juanita and Donnie went back down to the food line and called the police department requesting Tracy Pennell to come down and investigate, you know, a missing person, you know. But, you know, if Dad would have seen somebody in a vehicle or something like that that he knew or something like that, he would have got in and got with them, and nothing would have been said, you know. I mean, because it was common for Dad, if he was, you see one of the friends, he would go with them, go fishing, go work at the house or something like that. I mean, it was normal for Dad to do that.
Yeah, and the pictures you sent me, it looked like the house on Taylor's Mountain needed a lot of work.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It wasn't
where he was living?
That's the place. I'm sorry. It was a
That's
trailer.
where he was living?
Yes, he was staying up there with Donnie and Juanita. And my sister lived probably if you had a good arm on you, probably hit the side of her house from where they lived at. And my brother lived up on the road, probably an eighth of a mile from there. So Dad would go, you know, Dad would stay at one place and go to the next place for a couple of weeks or something like that, and just kind of hang out, because Dad had up at my brother's. Dad stayed in the back of the house, in the room back in the back, stayed back here most of the time.
So I have read that reopening the case of the Lyons sisters helped bring some attention to your father's case. It
did, because when everybody seen the officers all over the mountain, they thought they were up there looking for Dad. And instead of the Lyons sisters, you know, because, you know, nobody knew anything about the Lyons sisters. I mean, I was the first time I've ever heard about it when that happened. And you know, then you know, I went up there with the county to find a location that they were looking for, a possibility of a spot for the Line Sisters' remains could be at or something like that, because it was a place called the Devil's Den, and me and my brother-in-law, both of us, with probably about, I think it started out about 8 investigators walked up the side of that mountain.
Wow. Is that a really steep mountain? Like a really high elevation?
It is. Not a great big huge mountain, but the terrain is pretty. There were some spots you almost had to pull yourself up to get up on get on up the bank, I should say.
Do you think your father's generosity is what got him in trouble? And what was the motive?
That I don't know. I mean, because of course, there's been speculations that that Dad slept with Donnie's wife, and
in trouble.
Yeah, and then it was it could be money, but Dad didn't have a lot of money or anything like that, so I don't see how that could be. But I mean, I for the life of me, I don't know why or anything like that. But I don't know if something happened the night before Dad was reported missing, and something happened. But it was a story that was told the night before something happened to Dad, but they didn't go into exactly what happened. And Donnie and a couple of people left for a couple hours, then come back. So, that I don't know.
Did you contact your grandfather after it was alleged that he had gone to see him?
Grandpa's been deceased for years.
Huh?
Yeah, he had been deceased for years, but I mean, Dad, Dad's been dead since 1974.
Oh, because they said, he went to see his father.
That was a story that was said, I'd say, to lead the investigators off in a different direction, I should say.
Well, yeah, if the guy's been dead for 45 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So he had 6 kids. Instead of couch surfing, how come he didn't live with one of you?
Exactly. I mean, Dad, say for my brothers, I'd say probably biggest part of the time. I'd say probably about, I think in '96, I met my wife and I moved to Amherst County, which is about, I'm guessing probably 40 miles, something like that, from Bedford, where they lived at and all. So I mean, I didn't keep in touch with a whole lot of them. I'd go down there sometimes on the weekends, and I'd see Dad. And I think Dad come up here one time and help me mow the grass and all. So yeah.
I was going to ask you if there was a chance he wandered off, but you said he was of sound mind, so that doesn't seem likely. However, it appears like there's a lot of woods up there. Could he have gone to take a relaxing walk and gotten off a trail and gotten lost or hurt?
No, because when he was reported missing, he was down from the food line. That was down in the middle of Bedford, and it had a patch of woods behind it. But we searched it pretty good. I think on the 13th, back in 2000, April 13th, 2000, and we looked around it pretty good, and he couldn't see no signs of anything. Because they had the Bedford fire crew down there, and I had the helicopter too. So the helicopter looked for them too. But the mountain from where the food line is probably 15 miles. I'm thinking up on the mountain. So but up on the mountain, it's dense woods.
Right. That's why I was wondering if he could have gotten lost up there.
If Dad was up there, he'd be on the road because Dad always he wouldn't be up in the woods roaming around or anything like that. He would always, yeah, if you seen Dad going up the road, going up the mountain or something like that, he'd be on the road. Take the path of least resistance, I should say.
I just wanted to add that your father was from Saxton, Virginia, and he had 2 tattoos, a JW and a PW on his left arm.
It was JW is for James Walker and PW is for Phyllis Walker, my mom.
Oh. Is your mom gone or are they divorced?
Mom is still living. You know, and mom and dad have been separated for, I think, probably 10 years before that happened, maybe something like that. But you know, mom does care for him. You know, how can you not be? You know, she buried 6 of us kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I learned about your dad and actually got in contact with you through Kenny Jarrell's of the Aware Foundation.
Yes, ma'am.
He actually got me my last few cases. Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, I think Kenny's a groundhog, buddy. I got to hand it to him, man. He's constantly beating the bushes and coming up with ideas.
How did you get hooked up with him?
Actually, I met Kenny back in 2014, I believe. Yeah, 2014. He was with Dan and Jill Harrington with Help Save the Next Girl. And he you know, got together with him, had a couple things, and then Kenny went to went the separate ways into a different the Aware Foundation, so solely, you know, so he can solely be over it and everything like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Kenny's a great guy. He is. I mean, that guy's got a compassionate heart on him.
Yes, I had him on my show. I would definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
Today, I understand that you were at the Virginia Missing Persons Day. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was? And
Yep. Dan and Jill Harrington, that's what helped Save Next Girl. She had a degree made for, you know, for today being national Virginia Missing Persons Day. The governor signed it back into law, I think back in 2016, I believe. Don't hold me to it. I believe that's what it was. And they have a awareness and for all the families to come in. They invite all the families to come up there, and it's a great environment. It's up at the Roanoke City training facility up in Roanoke, and get to meet all the officers and all, and you get to meet the families and hear their stories, and and put a face with the families that are missing, because I think they've had 2 people come today that hadn't been up there before, but they've people with them with the Help Save Next Girl spoke up for them, even though the families wasn't there, and had 2 of them show up today, and it was touching to hear the stories that they were sharing, what they go through day to day, as far as missing their brothers, sisters, wives, husbands, children, and father and mother. And just to hear their stories, and my heart goes out to them, because I can honestly say I know exactly how they feel with my case with Dad, and you get to meet really good people that are fighting to get justice for the dad, or for the family.
yeah. So, who were the people that were there that you were unfamiliar with? Maybe someone listening is familiar with the cases.
Oh, I wish I could tell you, because I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't remember the names. I'll get online and pull it up. But I mean, it was a sister there today. Actually, it was two sisters there today that had missing families, missing sisters and everything. And to hear their story, it was heartbreaking. It really was.
Yeah. And I think families bang their head against the wall even harder when, like, my next show is Misty Copsey. She was reported missing, and the police said, oh, she's a runaway, and said, call us back in 30 days. 30 days! Are you kidding me? She's 14. It's the middle of the night. So that has to be, I'm sure you hear those stories over and over again, was my point. Has to be frustrating.
It is, because, in the case with my dad, too, that's the hardest thing I can't understand is if he was reported missing and the department was on it so quick back then for a man that age, and, I can understand if it was that quick on a child, but, because I was thinking, Dad would be gone for a week or two or something like that before they'd actually dig into it or something like that, But them to be on it right there, the same day is just that's what I don't understand more than anything. It's just because you listen to the families. I was listening to one today. She said she lived in Maryland and she didn't hear it for I think it was almost a month after something. Her sister disappeared.
Jeez.
Yeah, and it's a hard fight. I mean, you have to be consistent with the police and the people that are working on the case, not to beat them up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I was just saying you have to show them you care. You have to show them you're still there. Yeah. You're still fighting.
Exactly. And, and on the defense of the police officers, they're getting in new stuff every day. They're getting stuff that's thrown on their desk that they got to get to that's fresh right there off the back, and then you've got something that's been sitting so long, and yours gets pushed to the side. And I can understand that, but you've got to be back consistent. Hey, don't forget about me. Not to beat them up or anything like that. Because they got so much stuff going on nowadays. It's just crazy. I don't know how the police do it, but they deal with. If everybody could behave for a month, all kinds of crimes could probably be solved.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's thousands of crimes a day that's being committed, and people that are missing, that hundreds of people missing a day, that they're being called upon, and of course yours gets pushed back to the back. But you got to be patient and consistent, and be a friend with them more than anything. Just say, just keep me in mind. Just please help me out.
But you're right. It's been 19 years. If they have a fresher case, it's certainly going to be easier to find the lead in a fresher case than in a 19-year-old case.
Exactly. But I don't want them to forget about Dad at all. Because like I sat up and spoke to everybody in the room today up there, and I said, you've got to be consistent about it and on them about it, but just don't forget about it. Just and don't be afraid to call them. Because if you don't call them, it'll get pushed back to the back and forgot about.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And you were very lucky, like you said, that they did get proactive and take the case right away, because I've seen time and time again where they say, oh, he or she was an adult. They had a right to disappear.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but there's some issues with that happened back then. How everything went so quickly, and then it was pretty much just forgot about. right out of the back pretty quick.
Yeah.
And when they started bringing everything back up in 2014, I sat there, I go to sleep, think about my dad every day. Wake up, man. It's just when I wake up in the morning, man. The first breath of air I get, well, that's a fight for Dad. It's just you got to keep on and push.
Yeah. I can't imagine. My father passed away in 2017. I can't imagine not knowing where he is. I know where he is. I just put flowers on his grave for Easter. You couldn't do that.
Exactly, because if I knew where Dad was, I'd be more at peace about it. But not knowing anything, it mentally tears you down, and
well, I'm sure it does.
But I'll refuse to give up. Period. And if anybody that'll do a news bit on them or a story about them, I'm there no matter what. I'll take time out of my day no matter what for that.
Good for you. So has there been any news coverage in your area?
I'm sorry?
I said good for you. Has there been any news coverage in your area?
There has. There's been quite a few. There is something going on right now, but I can't say too much about it.
Oh, that's okay.
Right now, it's just got to wait for things to come together. But it's looking good. It's just got to wait for things to fall into place. I should say.
I can respect that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We have under 3 minutes left, so I'm going to ask you if you could say anything to your father right now, what would it be? And if you could say anything to the person or persons responsible for his disappearance, go for it. Say both.
Dad, I just wish I could hold it one more time. Oh. You tell them I love them. Just drink a beer with them. And just the guys, ladies, that know what happened to Dad, they're cowards. Really cowards. You look at your life and how hard your life is. That's karma. That's what I would say to them.
Yeah, karma has a way of biting back.
Exactly. And that's the way we live.
Yep.
And I'm blessed to have my children and a healthy family.
That's good.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure they'd like to know what happened to their father as well.
Yes, ma'am. And if something like that happened to their father, I would hope they'd push that hard for their father, Yeah. But I refuse to give up.
Far from the tree. Okay, we got a minute left here, so I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
And thank you
so much.
Good luck
in whatever it is that you couldn't talk about. Hopefully,
yep. And I'll keep in touch with you on through messaging about that.
Okay, great.
Yes,
thank you. Like I said, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening and weekend. And don't forget, our next show will be on May 11th, same time, 5 p.m. I will have the administrator of the Bringing Misty Copsey Home Facebook page on to discuss Misty's case. Again, thank you, everyone. God bless. Thank you, Bobby, for joining me.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Bye. 10, 9, 8. All right, I'm going to end the episode. Goodbye.